here's a scenario, okay? Illegal immigrant mother and father living in Los Angeles. 2 children who are American citizens born here. If you're president, do you order authorities to take that family into custody?
We have no choice. I'm sorry, Bill. We have to bring them out, and if they're wonderful people, which I'm sure they will be, and we have so many wonderful people, we'll bring them back in an expedited fashion. But we are a land of laws.
Donald Trump proposes that American law enforcement round up a population the size of everyone in the state of New York over the age of 21. Joining us now with his reaction to that is Republican presidential candidate and former governor of New York, George Pataki. Governor Pataki, I wanted to give that figure because when we talk about 11, rounding up 12 million people, what does that look like? How much of America is that? It's this entire state above the age of 21.
This is just crazy. You're going to take kids who were born and raised in the United States and deport them. The scenario that I use is you have a 9, 10, 11-year-old girl born in America, speaks fluent English, has never been to Mexico or wherever her parents came from, an American citizen, and you're going to send police or troopers or soldiers into the classroom and drag her out and send her to a country she's never been? This is just insanity.
Well, there's no legal authority for that. That was lost in the conversation on Fox tonight. Well, O'Reilly kind of referred to it, but Trump doesn't seem to know there is absolutely no legal authority to touch those children.
There is no legal authority, but it's ridiculous, and it's Trump with a ridiculous policy on immigration. But what's really troubling to me, Lawrence, is so many of my fellow Republicans seeking the nomination are saying, well, there's no legal authority, or it'll never get past Congress. That's not a reason to oppose it. The reason to oppose it is it's nuts. This makes no sense. It's un-American. It's inhumane. It makes self-deportation seem like a humane approach to dealing with illegal immigrants. I'm a great believer in the rule of law. People, their parents have broken the law, and I would make them pay a sanction for that. But you don't deport 11 million people, including American citizens. It's ridiculous.
You were the governor of one of our major border states. I mean, I think we've come to that point in our politics where we think of the border states as just being the southern border states.
That's right.
You had the Canadian border, but you also have the giant port of New York, the JFK airport, this massive entry point for immigrants, legal and illegal, not legal immigrants. What do you learn from that kind of experience that you feel some of these other Republican candidates don't seem to know, especially Donald Trump?
Well, first of all, I am a great believer that we have to have legal immigration, and we have to do more to enforce the laws and make sure people come here legally, whether it's the borders or whether it's overstaying visas when they come as visitors. The rule of law is critical, and we have to enforce that. But ultimately, when people have been here, have obeyed the law, have not been dependent on government, they have made America stronger. You look in New York, there's a high school where there's people who come from the parents come from over 80 different countries. And it works well, and it helps create this exciting fabric that is New York and that is America. We need to depend on the rule of law, but we cannot reject people. And I fear that in the case of Latinos and Mexicans, a lot of it is because they don't look like us, they don't necessarily sound like us, but they are adding to America. The vast majority have contributed greatly, whether it's serving in the military or working in jobs others wouldn't take. Obey the rule of law, control our borders, but don't even think about sending 11 million people back.
When voters look at this Republican primary ballot, they see the name Pataki. What, if they cast that vote, what would they be voting for that they cannot get from Bush, Walker, Kasich, some of the other names on that ballot?
You know, an experienced leader with a vision who can work across party lines.
What about a policy? Is there a policy difference?
Oh, I think from the policy standpoint, there's a very real difference. I believe in decentralizing government, reducing the size of the federal government, depowering Washington. One thing I share with Trump is a real dislike for the Washington establishment. I think they have corrupted the federal tax code and taken advantage of the ability to hire lobbyists and peddle influence, and we have to change that. Throw out the tax code, get rid of the loopholes, lower the rates. But one of the major differences is I was a conservative Republican governor in a deep blue state with a state house and assembly that was more than 2-to-1 Democratic. But I was able to bring together a consensus behind policies that work to give people opportunity in this state. I could do that in Washington. You know, Republicans aren't going to be able to do things like repeal Obamacare simply with Republican votes. votes. You need to bring along Democrats. I can do that.
You actually think you could get Democratic votes to repeal the Affordable Care Act?
Absolutely, because you sit down with them and show them how it's not
People who
working.
voted for them, you'd get them to reverse their vote.
Yes, I think so, because you would sit down with them and say, hey, it is a bad law. Just as an example, virtually every union member over the next few years is going to have to pay a Cadillac tax or lose benefits. Your constituents, here is an alternative. What is your alternative? I would get the votes, repeal Obamacare, and replace it with a better law.
Well, they
Give
are.
me a chance.
What is true is there are various pockets of Democrats who want to repeal some of those taxes in that bill. That's true.
That's
We're going to have
correct.
to take a break and come back with more of this. Governor Pataki is going to be with us when we come back.